Hey there, welcome to this session of the course. So, this video is going to mark the beginning of the practical aspect of the course. So, in this video, we're going to first of all walk through Photoshop interface and how to use certain tools and the placement of certain things just for you to understand the interface before you start working on anything. It's very necessary for you to understand the interface. So when you open your Photoshop, you're going to see something like this. I have all this stuff listed here because these are projects I have worked on before. So they usually come here, like recent projects I just worked on. So now when you open your Photoshop software, you're going to see this kind of interface. I might probably show you to drop something. So what you can do, you can either drag a photo directly from your file anywhere, or you can or you can or you can create a new file. So in this case, I'm just going to click on create new file. So you see this button here, create new file. It's going to pop out this box for you. So there are different things you can do here. It has different options. If you look up here, you see save photos. So we're just going to create our file in pixels. You can do other dimension formats, maybe inches, centimeter, millimeter. But for this one, I'm using pixels, and I do 2000 by 2000 pixels. Resolution set to 300, and then I'll just click on create to. So it brings me to this frame here. Yeah, so the message I get from most people sometimes is that they don't understand Photoshop interface. That's from most newbies. They mostly complain that when they open their software, they see this interface and they don't know how to navigate or start doing anything at all. So in this video, I'm going to show you the placement of all the tools and how they're going to work and how they usually work in Photoshop. So first of all, if you look by your left, you'll see a line arrangement of tools here. So each of these tools have their functions. Each of these tools here, the first one here is the move tool. You can see this arrow moving. So if I place something here, is this tool, I can use this tool to move it around. So let me just try placing a picture. Let me try placing a picture. Let me say I find a picture from here. And let's say I bring in this picture. Yeah, so you see, this is the move tool. Now, when you place the picture, you get this option to resize it. So before you click on this save icon up here, you can easily resize the picture. Let's say we want it a little bit bigger. You can just resize it here, and you see the move tool is moving the picture around like this. You can place it here. If you right click on your mouse, you will see you have a list of options here. You can if you click flip it vertical, it flips left and right. If you say horizontal, it rotates the image. You understand? You vertical, you rotate it back. So there are a lot of things you can do here. Skew. This is just to understand to give your image kind of different kind of look like that. So I'm going to bring it back to the normal form. So let's just say we want the picture looking like this, flipped to the. Let me just flip it back to the normal way it is. Yeah, so this is the work of the move tool. Okay, we still have our skew selected. So in that case, we're just going to put our picture back to the normal way, save it. So now the move tool moves picture around, move anything, picture, shapes, whatever thing you place here, you can use the move tool to drag it, place it, do whatever alignments you want to do. Then secondly, here we have this tool. This is the what's it called? This is a rectangular tool. You can use this to create some kind of shapes. This not all the tools you use all the time. So this one now you can use it to, let's say, mark out specific portion of an image. Let's say I want to mark out this place. As I marked out this her face now, this is one thing you can do with it. You can do other things too. I can say, okay, create copy. So what it does, I come here, see, I create a copy of this part of our face. So you can use it to like mark out a specific part of an image and then you create a copy of it or you cut it out or something like that. So that's the work of this tool. However, not you might not need most of these tool all the time you design, but there are some of them you definitely have to use whenever you design, but some of them you might not really need them most times unless maybe you have some kind of designs to do. So this is the move tool. Here we have lasso tool. This tool can be used to crop. You can use this to cut out. Let's say you want to cut out her this part of her body. You can just you see the way I'm dragging it. You can just drag it out. It gives you this selection. Then what you do after you have this selection, you what you do after you have this selection, you can right click. Once you right click, you see options here, deselect, inverse, all this. So you can see layer via copy. So once you're selected on this layer here, layer via copy, it gives you this option to drag, move her head. So this tool can also be used to cut out a specific portion of an image. So before we move forward, I would like to, before we continue with the tools, this tools explanation, I would like to explain this right area here. Majorly, one of the most important thing you need to understand when working on Photoshop is the layer. So whatever happens in this layer is what you will see on the frame. So the layer influences this frame box here. So now, if I don't select her picture from this layer here, you see I can toggle off and on. So if I don't want her picture to be on this frame, I'll just go to the layer panel and I toggle it off and I turn it on. So let's say for example I create let's do a shape on top of her body, for example. This is the shape. Then you see this option here. We have colors, swatches, guides. So now if you draw a shape, you can use this area here to also pick colors and okay, it doesn't pick. You can just double click on the shape to pop out the color box here. So you can just drag a color. So what I wanted to show you with the layer is that you can see now from this layer panel here, the rectangle shape is on top of her body. It's on top of her body now. So now, for example, let's say I drag this rectangle layer behind her body, you see, from in the frame here, it goes behind her. So now the layer is just like an arrangement, like kind of stacking something. Whatever you want to be at the front here at the front from the frame here, you can do that arrangement from the layer. So it's just like an kind of a linear arrangement of objects, like a hierarchical linear arrangement of objects or anything that you are working on. So whatever you place on top that's what is going to be on top on the frame here. So this is necessary because sometimes you'll be working on some designs and let's say you want to put a text on top of this shape here now. So once you come and you type, let's just do Lauren, this dummy text, and then you drag the dummy text here. Let's change the color to white, for example. You can see the text here now. So now from this layer panel, if the text layer is not on top of the rectangle layer, it's not going to be visible. So now let's drag it behind so you see what I'm saying. You see, I took the text layer behind the shape layer. We cannot see the text now because because from the layer panel the text is behind, which places the shape above. So in that case, you work with the arrangement of the layer and the placement of the objects. So why I say the placement of the objects, that if we shift this shape now up here, we can now see the text. You get, you can now see the text here. So it's just for you to understand how you place and arrange your elements in the design so they can all show and they can be visible, they can be clearly visible after editing. So now that's that about layer panel. I know you understand. It's just an arrangement. So whatever you arrange in the layer panel, you ensure that it's properly visible on the frame here. So all what you just need to understand is that whatever goes on in the layer panel is what you see on the frame. So now the layer panel influences this artboard here. So now back to the tools here. So now from the tools here we have this is the crop tool. You can use this tool to sorry expand or reduce the frame size. So now you see once we let's deselect it, let's select another tool. So now this is what we have. Now when we come to this crop tool, you see it gives us this what will I call it, this adjustment kind of shapes here. So now once we hold here and we extend it, you see we can extend the size or the width of the frame. So now if we come up here too, we can increase the height. So that's just what this thing does. For example, you don't want to type out your dimensions there from the new layer, new file. You can just use this crop tool to kind of expand your frame. So that's what that one does. Then next one we have, there are a lot of tools here and I cannot go over all of them. I cannot go over each and every one of them. The more you work on it, the more you understand. There are some of them that you might need to use them before you understand. So now for this tool here, this is the eyedropper tool. This is the eyedropper tool. So this one now you can use it to pick colors. So now if you look down here from the foreground color and our background color here, once I pick this eyedropper tool, if I any color I select, it automatically comes here. If I select, let's say I select her hair, this brown area of her hair. If you look down here, you see it gives us that brown color. So this is what you use to change color of certain objects. So let's say I want to change the color of this rectangle shape I have here. You can just double click on the rectangle. You see, this eyedropper tool is always there whenever you want to select color on almost every editing app or software. You must see the eyedropper tool just to pick out colors. So let's say I want to pick the color of her face. If I select this, you see, it gives us that color. If I select from her clothes, white. If I select from this area of her hand here, see, you can just use whatever color you want to use around the your artwork. So let's say you want to create kind of a color, how will I call it, a rhymic color in your design. You want, let's say, the color of someone's clothes to rhyme with a shape that you're using. You can just easily use this tool to kind of pick out colors and make it work out well. So that's the work of this tool. Down here, you see this is the spot healing. So this is majorly for cleaning out spot. Let's assume her face has some kind of spot here, but her face doesn't have any spot. So you see this black shape, this little black dots on her body down here. We can use this spot healing tool. Let's zoom in and see. So we use the spot healing tool. We have to be on her picture. So now, before we do this spot healing, before we use the spot healing tool, I would like you to also understand something from this layer panel here. So now if you see her picture here, you see that there's this little box here. this little box beside her picture on the layer panel. Now, this means that her picture is a smart object. So now, what's the work of a smart object? A smart object allows you to adjust any effects that you do on your picture. So let's say, for example, in order for you to understand better, you want to apply kind of you want to brighten the picture a bit. So let's use camera raw filter. So we'll still get to look into all these things along the course. So camera raw filter it loads. Yeah. So now I'll just do some little color, some little brighten effects on her picture, just to make it look a little bit different from the normal picture. So highlights and white clarity. So let's see what we have. So you can see our picture has this kind of it made it a little bit bright. So now if you look at this her layer panel, this layer here, you can see camera raw filter down there. So if I don't want this effect I just did now, I can easily toggle it off. You see, it takes us back to her normal picture. If I want it back, I toggle it on, comes back. So you can only go back to your effect. If I want to go back to the camera raw filter panel and make some adjustment, I can just come down here and double click. It's loading. And you see it brings me back. So I can easily make adjustments to to her stuffs, to the picture, just to give it like a suiting look that suits me, that suits what I really want. So you see, if I'm working on a smart object, I can easily do these adjustments. So let's say the layer is not a smart object, for example. So let's just off the camera raw filter. Press Control J, for example. Then we'll turn it off here, okay, and then um we'll just rasterize this layer. Now let's do rasterize. It's not more a smart object. So now the difference is that on a smart object we can do adjustments to whatever effects we do on the layer, but any layer that's not a smart object you cannot do any adjustments. Now another thing is that the smart objects, when a layer is a smart object, there are certain effects that you cannot use on it. So now, like I wanted to use the spot healing tool, back to the spot healing tool now. Then now I have this smart object layer selected. You see, it's not giving me the option to do anything. You see what it says? This smart object must be rasterized before proceeding. Edit. You understand? So whenever you get this option, you have to rasterize it. So let's go back to the layer that we rasterized. And then you see we have the option to do the spot healing effect. So now showing you the spot healing effect, let's zoom in. Have her picture doesn't have much spots that we can use this thing, but you can just easily use it when any picture that have a spots, like okay, you see the little dots on her neck now. So all you have to do is just to click on it. It takes out the spot. You see this black one here now. You see, it's no more there again. So you can use this to clean out spots on any picture's face. This is mostly used by photographers, those that take raw pictures and they clean up the face and make it smooth and all those kind of things. So you working as a graphic designer, you might not necessarily use this spot healing so most of the time, but sometimes you actually use it. So this is the brush tool. This is one of the most important tool here in Photoshop, because sometimes you need the brush tool to paint in shadows and to do different kind of things. You might want to do a trace line on her on around her. For example, it might not work really nice for this artwork, but sometimes some artworks you might need to do this. So now let me just say I select this blue color here, and then I'll create a new layer. To create a new layer, You come down, you see from this layer panel here, there are other things down here. One, the first, the last one here is delete. If I want to delete, let's say I don't want this rasterized layer and I want to delete it, I just click delete. I usually delete the layer. Yeah, I delete. You can also, I bring it back now. You can also just drag it and take it down, delete. So now, let's say I create a new layer. If I want to create a new layer, you see this plus icon here, create new layer. Then now, the other one here is group. Let's say I want to group this entire stuff I have here. I'll just hold shift from one, go to the other one. You see, select all the ones I want, then I can just easily drag it and click group. So now the shortcut to doing this is to just press Control G, groups. So that's not about that. So we have a group. Let's just leave it to the group. It's group one. You understand? So you can work in groups if you want to group a set of elements. Let's say you don't want to have everything just lined up. You can group them and you can move the group. You see, I can just move the group like this, easier than just moving each of them one by one. Somehow might take longer time. So now here we have, these are a list of other options which we are going to look at within the course. There are a lot of other things here. If you have this selected, there's this other layer styles that there are a lot of things here in Photoshop. That's why I say we cannot look at everything on this particular video. Along the course, we're going to look at them. So now, I wanted to create a new layer here. I wanted to create a new layer just to paint in some little shadows, so you'll see what you can use the brush tool to do. Not necessarily shadow, but something else. Let's see. New layer, and I come here. You can just press Shift Control N to create a new layer. You see, new layer. You can rename the layer. Let's just say stroke layer, for example. Anyways, now you see we have that stroke layer, we have our brush tool selected. So now from the brush tool, there are other tools. Each of these tools, I forgot to say that each of these tools have a list of other tools within them. You see, the lasso tool, like this one I explained. Okay, let's go to this lasso tool. You see this one now that had that cuts shapes out like this. It has another one that will help you cut the shape in like a straight format. That one now, this lasso tool now is freehand. You see the polygon lasso tool, it gives you this straight line kind of cut. So these are some kind of things you explore while you are working on Photoshop. So each of them, crop tool, this is used to crop image background. I'll also show you how to do that along the course. This is the frame tool. There are other things, perspective tool, this the brush tool, pencil tool, color tool. So now we're on the brush tool. Now from the brush tool, if you come here again, each of this layer has each of this layer has like an option above them. So now once you select on each of them, above here you see some other options here which they work like together. So now what's going on in this particular tool that you selected, you can make some adjustments from these options up here. So you see, I mean, let's see normal. You see, you can just choose layer styles for the brush. Now from the brush tool here, you can see here I can choose what kind of brush do I want. Do I want a soft brush, a shadow brush, or a hard brush? Let's select hard brush. There are many things. You can even download different styles of brush for arts. Those that draw on Photoshop, you can import your brush by clicking here. You see this tool here, you do import brushes. So let's say there are some things you want to do on your design. You can just go online, download brush tools for Photoshop, come here, import it, and use it to do your designs. So it's very, very possible to do it like that. So now for this one, I'm just going to show you how to use this brush tools to do something on this picture. So now here we'll select the hard brush, and then you see from here too you can check the size. The size here 40. You can work on the size here, or you can select, or you can use these box brackets key on your keyboard to increase. You click the right one to increase, the left one to reduce. So now for this, we have the our color here, foreground color on blue. You can just easily do a trace. You understand? Just do something like this. I'm just doing anything just to see what you can do with the brush tool. So you can take your time. There are some designs that stuff like this might look nice on it. Let's say you want to point something, you want to do any kind of thing, you can just draw around. So this is just to show you how to use the brush tool. So another thing you can do with it is to do a shadow. So now let's just do another new layer. Then let's name this shadow, for example. Then now we'll change this our foreground color to black here, and then we increase the brush. So I just want to add a shadow. It might not look nice for this picture, but let's just do shadow. Okay. Now you see, I'm trying to add a shadow with the hard brush. It's not making sense. So now these are some things you need to know when you're working on Photoshop. So now from the brush tool to add a shadow effect, you need to use the soft brush. See, this one has like soft edges. It doesn't have that those hard edges. So now once you do it, you see what it does. It gives you proper shadow. These shadows are too much. So now let's say here now we'll just do soft shadow like this. You see, you can add the shadow around the picture, but this is not something that we can use shadow on. So just take it out. So now for the next tool here, we have the clone tool. This tool, you can use it to clean out. Let's say you have a shape that you want to clean out something. You can use this tool to do it. For example, you want to, let's just say alt. Let's just do something funny here. So you see, we just do like this. I want to clean out her eyebrow. So now what you do, okay, I'm not even selecting her picture, sorry. So from the layer, you have to select her picture. I was mistakenly selecting another layer and trying to do it. It was not working. So I'll duplicate this layer and you see it's a smart object. I have to rasterize it. And then I'll come here. You see what it's doing? I'm cleaning out her eyebrow. So you can use this to clean out anything. To, let's say you have a picture, they say okay, they want you to clean something. You see, once you click alt, it's just like you're picking color from another part of the same image and replacing the part that you don't want to have anything there with the color that you're picking out from the other side. So now we're picking out this part of her face and using it to clean out her eyebrow. Now you can see, select here, clean out, clean out, clean out. So most people use stuff like this for manipulation designs somehow. So you can take your time to make it look well. So you see what it's doing. So we clean out the eyebrow. You get, so some people can even do, you might have seen all this kind of manipulation where someone will have a hair and they would remove the hair and have it replaced with someone's hair that doesn't have any hair at all. So you can use this. You can also cut the hair and just blend it. So these are some of the tools they use for stuff like that. So going further, this is the history tool. This is used like to bring back something that you have done. I don't really use most of these tools here. So this is the eraser tool. You can use this to clean out. So let's say we draw our stroke again with this brush tool. Yes, let's just do the stroke again. I draw this stroke too big. So now let's say I draw the stroke like this and I'm still draw it inside her body. You get? And I don't want it to reach there. So what can I do? I come to this eraser tool and then I use the eraser tool to clean the areas I don't want to be on top of her body. So you see it's cleaning it in kind of a shadow way. and I don't want it, I want it to be sharp. So now I can just come here. You see, these tools too. These erasers will also have the same brush kind of setup. So you can use the hard brush to clean it out. So it's going to have those hard edges. See, you have hard edges there. So that's that about the eraser. So this is the gradient tool. So now the gradient tool here is you can use it to create a gradient. So now when you come to the gradient tool, you double click it. You see, like I told you, most of the layers have some options above them, above the screen here that you can use to work on it. Now, the gradient in Photoshop has different styles. They have the radial form, diamond. Each of them have the way they play out. So now we'll still explain this along the course. So now let's just say I do this and then I just want to do a gradient. I already have this blue selected gradient. Let's just do another one. You see, you can select gradients and then just do shift control N, and then you see I just drag and it just creates these gradients on top of our picture. So that's just how to use the gradient tool. Along the course, I'll still explain better how to use the gradient tool for some other kind of designs. So this is the blur tool. Use it to blur picture. Sharpen tool is sharpen picture. Smuggle tool. Most of these tools are just used to blur out picture or to give it some kind of look. So this dodge tool, sponge tool, pen tool, this is used to create shapes. You understand? So now the pen tool here has its own option above. So now from the options above, you can see there's shape parts. That you see all this will still be explained along the course. So this is just to show you the tools here in Photoshop. So now the next one we have here is the text tool. This is used to type in text. You see, Lorem Ipsum. You understand? So now from the text tool too, you can see there are other options. If you hold it, if you come here, you see vertical text type mask. If you click vertical, your text will type in a vertical form. See, types down. So that's another thing you can do with Photoshop. So this is the path to direct selection tool. Use this for some selection, mostly when you have shapes that you created with the pen tool. You use the direct selection tool to make some adjustment to it. So this is the shape tool. You see there are different kind of shapes here: the rectangle tool, the ellipse tool, the triangle tool. So you see, Photoshop just have a lot of shapes here. This is the shape, the circle tool. Now each of these tools here, this is the ellipse tool now, for example. Let's just delete this text. Yeah, let's leave this one. So now we're going to drop it down. So in order to resize shapes or anything in Photoshop, you press Ctrl T. Like you see, I had this one. Let's take it back to the normal size. If you press Ctrl and T, it gives you this selection. So you can either drag it from any part of the shape. You see, you have different angles that you can drag it from just to reduce it. Then we've dropped it down. Now we come down here, we have triangle tool. You understand? Triangle tool. Create triangular shape as well. So we have polygon tool. So this there you can just explore most of these tools here in Photoshop. You have all these tools here that you can use. Most of these tools are what are being used to craft designs. So now then we have this move tool. This is used to move the layer around. So you see, you hold it, you can move the entire frame around like this, and you move it around. Just you understand. But the shorter form of moving this around, even when you are on another tool, is to hold the space bar, the space key on your keyboard. Once you hold the space key, it brings out this hand. You can see that hand just for you to move around. Let's say you're working on something and it's zoomed in close. and you want to move to another part of the frame, you can just hold the space key. You see, you move it around and you move, you understand? So that's that about this. The video is already long already, so I'm going to cut it here. Then in the next module, we're going to explain more things about some of these tools I explained and some other effects. So along the course, you will learn how to use most of these tools and more effects to edit images. So thank you. This is the end of this video. Thanks.